Hello everyone, and I'd like to welcome you back to my lore series. It has been a while, but we are back with the Asura this time. I'm doing this series to go over all of the races and go in depth of all the lore to do with the new races of Tyria and also including the humans, just so that when you play the game, you will know a little bit of background story to your race and you can go in the game feeling nice and confident that you've picked the right one. So let's get right into the Asuran. The Asura are a race who originally lived beneath the surface of Tyria. We first saw them in Guild Wars 1, where they were basically forced to come to the surface due to the threat from the Great Destroyer, who was, in fact, the Elder Dragon Primordus. So the Elder Dragon has come along with his armies, and is causing so much destruction that the Asuran were forced out of their sort of hiding place beneath the surface of Tyria and rise up to fight them. And up until this point, they were seen upon as a myth. So the humans at the time thought of the Asura as just a myth. So the Asura living beneath the ground, how did they see the world? Well, it said that they see the world as a complex magical machine. This philosophy of the world is the eternal alchemy. That's what it's known as, which touches everything they do. The eternal alchemy is the ideology of the Asuran view of the world, the mists, and all life. The belief states that all things and events are part of a greater scheme of existence, and that even the human gods and the spirits of the wild and the other deities are a part of this grand scheme. The eternal alchemy is divided into separate aspects that relate to different parts of the world. Although the only known aspect is that of chaos and strife, eternal alchemy is said to express itself through cogs, an individual person or aspects of life. To the Asura, death means returning to the grand equation and allowing the eternal alchemy to continue its work. Now that we can play the Asura in Guild Wars 2, then this next bit is taken from the in-game description. These alchemagical inventors may be short in stature, but they are intellectual giants. Among the Asura, it is not the strong who survive, but the clever. The other races believe that they should rule by virtue of their power and strength, but they are deluding themselves. In due time, all will serve the Asura. So that's an excellent description that sort of sums up the mentality of an Asuran and how they view themselves on Tyria, on the world. They are the higher race, they are the most power, they are a lot more smarter than anybody else, and eventually everyone will realise how great the Asura are and will turn around and basically worship them. They will rule over the whole of Tyria. That is their dream, that is what they want to accomplish. So the Asura have valued intelligence and their intellectual superiority over all other races, and for themselves their intellectual superiority is all over their own race. So you can imagine your friends, your family, it is one big competition to see who can become the most intelligent. Over an individual's Asuran lifespan, building a portfolio of successful projects and becoming the foremost expert of everything they accomplish and everything they do, that is the goal of a general Asura. Even to the point of the way they speak. You'll notice in game, when you're talking to an Asura, they would try to use very long words. They would be very, very intellectual. They would speak of a higher arrogance over you, as they view your race, if you're not an Asura, as practically nothing. The Asura have magical technology, which is second to none. You can imagine in other games such as, goblins or dwarves, or gnomes and such, which usually are the sort of races that have, a higher sort of knowledge over technology and building things. Well, in Guild Wars 2 it's the Asuran, and they have magical technology. They experiment with magic and create the most impressive structures. As you can see in game, you can see the Asuran golems that they sort of have as guardians to protect themselves. And obviously in World vs World we've seen the golems, which are siege engines, and these are all made by the Asura. So they use their magical technology for general and defensive work usually. But the most important and probably the most impressive piece of technology they have made is the Asura Gate. The Asura Gate provide a method of instantaneous travel to other Asura gates around Tyria. Asura gates are located in each playable race's main city and in some specific locations around the world. Gates are marked in every map by a glowing purple circle. Travel between Asura gates is free. So as we can see, it's not really a method of lore to say behind the Asura. It's more a in-game mechanic of quick travel or traveling to specific areas. Developed and used by the Asura for transportation, the gates allow players to freely travel between places they have not yet explored, such as racial cities. This allows good, at the worst, neutral relations to be maintained with other races, aiding the Asura in their master scheme to eventually dominate other species. So the gate is simply to allow, now a new alliance has happened, the gate is simply to allow humans, for example, to visit a Char's race or land, or Char's to visit a Norn. So the Asura gates are just quick travel around the world so that everyone can visit each other, and the Asura are planning to use this technology as leverage over the other races in future to sort of say, look what we have done, we are greater than you, and we will dominate over your species. So as I was saying before about the eternal alchemy, this idea is just a greater purpose of the world. Everything to do with the world is all part of one great big machine, and the Asura basically believe the eternal alchemy can be controlled and manipulated like any other machine. And there is a group called the Inquest, and members of the Inquest thrive on controlling power and knowledge, and their experiments are less ethical and more dangerous than those performed by the other Asura. So the Inquest are basically a sort of very right-wing right-wing version of the Asura, if you like. They have no qualms about the experimentation, or basically they don't really care about what they are doing, and this is their passion, this is what they want to do, and they don't care what comes in their way. And basically all of this eternal alchemy nonsense is to do with the religion of the Asura. So this is what they believe. As humans have gods, as Chars have their gods, or the Flame Legion and whatnot. The Asuran religion is basically the idea of eternal alchemy, and this is what they strive to gain knowledge of and know more about. And the Inquest is a more extreme factor of this strive for knowledge. So the Asura, how did they run themselves? They used to live underground. They were a myth. They were a race that no one really knew about. So how do they run? What is their organized government system? So as I was mentioning earlier, you had Asuras against Asuras in this sort of quest for knowledge and quest for intelligence. So not only are they trying to be smarter than other races, they're also trying to be smarter than themselves. So if every single Asura is doing this, then how can you have a sort of governmental structure, whereas one Asura rules over everybody? Because all the Asuran are so arrogant and they think they are better than everyone else. So how can they possibly be ruled by someone who has that position of being better than everyone else? Well, they don't. They basically don't have an organised government. The Asura prefer to utilise crews, small efficient task forces led by the most experienced member, designed to allow any individual Asura to reach maximum potential in any particular task. However, although this sounds like it solves the problem, and a huge race by itself can't really be run like this. I mean, you have to have some sort of structure in place to be able to keep everyone in check, if you like. So the Asura have a group also, and this group is known as the Arcane Council. And these are people responsible for the mundane parts of Asura city life in Ratasum, if you like. The members of the council rotate. Membership into the council is granted by performing a task which benefits the Asura as a whole. The role is rarely desired, as it means an individual Asura cannot spend their time advancing themselves and advancing their own research. Since surfacing interior, the story of the Asura has been one of success and triumph over long odds, continual perils and the stupidity of the world at large. Out of the ashes left by the great destroyer, the Elder Dragon, the Asura have forged a better future for themselves, yet within their very success lies potential seed of their destruction. With great pride leads to a great fall. The Asura will need to band together with the other races to defeat the Elder Dragons, which are threatening the whole of Tyria. So tell me, fellow viewer, are you going to roll an Asura and defend your pride and freedom against the Elder Dragons that are rising out and destroying your land and people? And on that note, that is me done, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And guys, I will see you next time.